From starting out as a hobby and a way to connect with others, to then moving into a full-time career and focusing on new endeavors such as YouTube, THATNERDVIOLET is pumping out content from anything that's cozy, to horror sometimes, and even informative information on new games that are coming out. Although she's had a lot of challenges and struggles, she's always found a way to push through and continue making content. Here's THATNERDVIOLET's story.
I definitely right now in terms of content have been more geared towards cozy games. I was going through a really tough period of my life the last year. I had lost my last living parent, and the scary games were really less fun for me. They were more anxiety inducing, more, I was already dealing with so much stress in my life. I don't want anybody chasing me. I'm trying to run away from my problems enough as it is. So I promised myself in January, I said, I'm going to play the games that I want. We're going to just try this out. We're going to see what sticks. And it was huge in my community. And I found, not that I've never played these games before, I did, but not in quite the capacity that I had been putting out in my content.
Tell me a bit about that.
I watched Twitch since the Justin TV days. Honestly, like some of my favorite channels don't even stream anymore, but it was a great place to just hang out and watch Let's Plays. And then I had started dating my then partner, now spouse, who was in between jobs for 3 months, and they had started streaming. They were playing EVE Online, and they said, oh my God, like you'd be so good at this. And I went, who wants to watch me? They got me the ever-loved Logitech C920 for Christmas, and that's what I started doing, like just as a hobby. And then the pandemic happened. I had already left work at that point to care for my father at the time, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and my spouse had said, keep doing this on the side, because you're home all day. You need somewhere to interact with people around the world. And I said, okay. And then we played Animal Crossing, and my channel went right place, right time. It's so different from where it is today, where you could get away with just being on Twitch or just being on YouTube, just being on one platform. It's unfortunate that I do have to say that you kind of have to be a little bit everywhere, or at the very least on like 2 to 3 platforms right now, to make sure that your content is getting seen.
So it was really something of you adapting to your situations and being like, all right, this is where I can see more of a future for content. Is that more where you're coming from with it then?
Very much so, yeah. And it stems from me too in my own personal life, because I think everybody is motivated in different ways. I never was looking to make this a career. It was my hobby, and I just ended up, again, being in the right place, right time. And it was great additional income for my family when, I had to pay for my father's medical equipment. I had to pay for his nursing home. I had to pay for his end-of-life care. I had already left teaching at that point to take care of my mother when she was sick. And so for the first time in my life, I'm doing something that I feel passionate about, and I'm happy. Like, I'm sure that so many people can relate, where we're working 10 to 12 hours a day, but it doesn't feel like work because we love it and we enjoy it. As part of that, that means I really do want to stay in the business. And that means making some sacrifices and putting my eggs in other baskets to ensure my longevity as much as possible.
Was Dead by Daylight the first game that you played? I think you mentioned it was a different game.
Not like the first game that I played. The first game I played, I actually played with my spouse, Terraria, however you pronounce it. And then I was very much variety in the beginning. So this would be between like when I was like 20 to 40 viewers. And then I had found Dead by Daylight because I had started watching Kayla Cauliflower. And I said, wow, this looks like a lot of fun. I haven't really played a lot of horror games in my life. Like, let me check it out. And I got so addicted. I loved the community. I loved the streamers. I was doing pretty decent. I was still streaming at night at that point. And I would say I probably hit like 50 or 60, not enough for partner at the time, but it definitely propelled me up. I was still dabbling in Dead by Daylight during the pandemic, but I would say I was mostly Dead by Daylight and maybe like 20% variety.
Is there like a specific stream schedule that you hold?
So originally I was doing 4 days in a row, Monday through Thursday. I would be off on Fridays for behind the scenes stuff, editing messages, emails, basically here, but not on camera. And then I would have my weekends with the family. One day we would just lounge at home or do something, and then the next day would be errands, and it was very rigid and structured. And I think I needed that in my time, especially since I was going through a period of grief. But that just kind of became too much for me, where by Thursday I was so exhausted that when I wanted to do my back end work on Fridays, I was too tired. So a few weeks ago, I said, well, let me go back to something that I had tried before, where I'm streaming Monday, Tuesday, I'm off Wednesday, and then I'm streaming Thursday, Friday, so I have to break a little bit earlier for back end work. I'm actually finding that I'm getting more things done. I'm not burnt out by Friday. You know, it's definitely, I definitely feel it on Friday, but not to the degree that I was feeling it before, where I was doing 4 days in a row. You know, anybody that streams knows how time consuming it is, because you have to be live for a certain amount of time, but you need to be on. You know, even with teaching, I had moments where, okay, I was handing out a test, I was putting on a movie, they were reading. It was not as involved as streaming is. And people are like, but you were a teacher, you worked your butt off. Yeah, I did, and I'm working 10 times harder as a streamer. I really am. I like the new schedule change. It's working for me right now to check back in 6 months. But in terms of scheduling stuff for YouTube, I'm trying to get to the point where I have enough of a backlog where I can do twice a week. But right now it's been like once a week on a Thursday or a Friday, depending when things come out. Sometimes it's not always the same. Something changes. Like, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before. I did 3 videos, which was my first 3 video week, but I already had things that I had planned, and a Nintendo Direct came out, and I said, let's just try and get it out. I'm off today anyway. I don't need to be on camera. I'll just do a voiceover. We'll see how it does. And that was like my most commented on video so far. So I was like, okay, keep this up in the future. And yeah, our growth has been great. It's been steady enough that I know that there's growth, but not to the point where I have something that has gone like super viral and I can't take advantage of it. You know, so many people are like, man, I want something to go viral, blah, blah, blah. But are you ready? Do you have stuff in the backlog? Do you have stuff that you can just not do in your life and create more content to take advantage of it? Because a lot of us don't. The growth that I've been having has been super manageable. We're getting some new people over to Twitch and vice versa. I've been doing 1 YouTube stream a week right now after my original Twitch stream to get more of my community over, and it helps with watch hours, which I'm trying to grind out right now too. But I'm still trying to create that work-life balance.
What was it like for you being involved with Broadcast Hers, the virtual summit, and speaking on the topic of handling trolls and rude people online? Because that's a whole nother issue and topic.
It is. And I honestly loved it, because when we stream, right, we're all kind of in a public speaking role, but this one was different. I've been getting hit, you know, for being a woman, and I've been getting hit on the queer sector. It was really great to share my trials and tribulations with everybody, but also tell them how to protect themselves, because had I not found out from other people, you know, I think I would have been in a much worse situation. I guess it's just a reminder how volatile the internet can be. You know, you can just be vibing out with your community and suddenly, wow, you have 300 people in there that are wishing for your harm just for merely existing. And I've grown enough of a thick skin. Like, I had to have a thick skin with teaching. You know, I came into teaching at 22, and I had a lot of like standard level classes, the majority with like senior boys in them. Like, you find out very quickly that you have to, you know, have quick comebacks. You have to shut things down very fast. You need to totally be in control, because as soon as you lose control, that's when things go wild.
It's so much harder with streaming too, right? Like, it's one thing to have a Twitter feed or to have a video or something that's up and you could read comments on, but when you're literally live and there's stuff happening that's there, right?
You're reacting to it live, and obviously they want to see you react. You know, you're probably going to have those moments where, you know, if you're putting into emote only mode and your community is still like posting emotes in chat while you're deleting and banning troll accounts and stuff like that, try and keep your cool as much as you can. But it's so easy, like so much easier said than done, because they're attacking your space that you created on the internet. Like, your little slice of life where nothing, you know, is going into your bubble. Somebody is now in your bubble, and it's something that will, you know, stay with you.
What is kind of your biggest advice that you want to leave with viewers, that you want to leave with other creators that are thinking of getting in the space? What would be your message to them?
Everybody's journey is different, and how one person's journey might not necessarily be your own journey. Research is going to be your friend. It might not be something that you're super interested in. You kind of have to be ready for that. And if you prepare, if you realize that your fellow creators are not your competition, but your coworkers, I think you're going to have a really lovely time in the space. And not everybody has to do this as a career. If you want to do this as a hobby and it turns into the career, awesome. But I think so many people put way too much pressure on themselves. If you want to, you know, interact with people around the globe, play video games, talk with people, really get to know them, then being a creator is going to be for you.
If you guys enjoyed that episode of the Becoming Creator podcast, be sure to check out That Nerd Violet on all of our social platforms. Also, if you guys want to hear the full podcast, check out the Apple Podcast or the Spotify podcast version of that. Until next time, we'll see you then.